This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going back to that crime scene. We're going to be bringing some undercover allies with us. We're going to be bringing the protective detail, and the inside man, and the lab technician, and there's going to be all sorts of new clues to look over, new different scenes. Today we're looking at the expansion for one of my favorite games of all time from Deception Murder in Hong Kong. It's called Deception Undercover Allies. This expansion adds a lot of new things, a little new twists, some new roles, some new mechanisms, a lot of new cards. Let me show you what's in there, and I'll see you on the other side. Here's everything that comes in the expansion. There's 54 new mean cards. There's 90 new clue cards. There are 3 new roles. There are 9 scene tiles, with one of them being a location, and there's 2 new badges. Between the badges and the new roles, you can now play up to 14 players. Let's look at each of these. Now from the base game, if you remember, you can play with the murderer always, and then you can add the accomplice. The accomplice gets to know who the murderer is, and they actually get to see what the crime is. And if you're playing with these two, you could add the witness from the base game, and the witness got to see who the accomplice and murderer are, so who the bad people are, but they don't know exactly which one's the murderer, which one's the accomplice, and they don't know exactly how the murder was done. But at the end of the game, if the good people win, these two get to talk about who they think the witness is, who was leading them to the crime to try to win in the end. Well, now there's a new role in the expansion called Protective Detail, where this player gets to see who the witness is secretly at the beginning of the game. So this player is sort of trying to act like the witness and cover the witness, make the bad guys think that this player's the witness, because if the good guys win and these two think this player's the witness and they kill them at the end of the game, well, then the good guys still win. Now going into the other roles, I first want to set up this new structure to the game. Here are actually some of the new scene tiles that come in the game. There's also a new location of crime tile, where instead of picking which of the 4 location of crimes the forensic scientist will pick at the beginning of the game, you can decide to use this one without picking the other ones, because it's a little bit more vague, and this is supposed to make it easier for the murderer and accomplice, because these are more vague than the location of crime from the base game. This is just here from the base game just to show you. Now, at the end of the first round of clues and investigation, there will be bullets on each of those. Now, before you end up trading in one of these tiles for another one, you go into what's called the Allies phase. And in that Allies phase, depending on which roles you're using, different things will happen. If you're playing with 7 or more players, the role that's the lab technician, everyone will close their eyes. The lab technician will get to open their eyes and point at a clue and a mean card. And here's some of the new cards that's in the game, but while everyone's eyes are closed, only the forensic scientist and lab technician's eyes are open, and that lab technician will point at any one card. And the forensic scientist will either put a thumbs up if it's part of the murder, or a thumbs down if it's not, so that player gets a lot of secret information. Now, if you're playing with 8 or more players, you can add in the inside man. That also happens during this allies phase, but right after the lab technician. So the lab technician will close their eyes, and the forensic scientist will tell the inside man to open their eyes. The inside man can remove any one badge, essentially a voting token, from anybody. We found the best way to do this is they would just simply point at it, and then the forensic scientist will remove it. That'll stop people from hearing you moving by removing things. Now, they can do it to anybody. It can do it even themselves. Now, this allied phase only happens once between the first and second rounds of the game. Now, there's a new scene tile in the game. It's really interesting. It changes the game quite a bit. The forensic scientist will then peek at the next tile. If the next tile they look at is also a scene tile, which they would secretly look at, they're going to, regardless of whether it is or not, they're going to place it face down off to the side. If it is a scene tile, that forensic scientist now wins with the murders. They still have to tell the truth, they can't mess around, but they can mislead players with the bullets. If when they looked at that tile, it was not a scene tile, they'd still place it face down off to the side, and they win as normal. So this changes the game quite a bit if it does come up. Now here is a closer look at all the scene tiles that come in the game, the new ones. So it's the murder weapon, the perceived by sixth sense, the victim's personality, the ambient noise, murder inspired by, smell in the air, victim's hobbies, that new location of the crime I talked about, and that perfect crime scene tile that we talked about. Now one thing I think is cool is with these new tiles, They seem to work really well with both the base game and the expansion. For example, if someone had this, the perceived Sixth Sense, and it was bright colors, from the base game it looks really good with those. But in the expansion, it looks good with those as well. But if the clue was utter confusion in the base game, it could be exam paper or numbers, and with the expansion, it could be the journal, the ledger, or the anesthetic. Now I've covered all the major parts of the expansion. I'll just show you a few of the clue and mean cards, but I want something to be a surprise for you when you do get the game, so I'm not going to show you all of them. And here's the last of the cards I'll show you. Here are some mean cards. Medical Waste, Mold, Tick, Rusty Nail, Nanobots, Killer Robot, Dart Frog, and Arrow. Alright, well, there's Undercover Allies. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, Deception Murder Hong Kong is one of my favorite games of all time, and it's absolutely my favorite social deduction game. It replaced with the Resistance Avalon because it has a lot of the same roles, but yet it had a creative aspect to it. So now, speaking of those roles, that's where I'm going to start because that's my favorite part of this expansion. You've got the Protective Detail role. And this essentially is like the Percival role from Resistance Avalon, where they're trying to protect Merlin. Here you're trying to protect the Witness, because that Witness in the base game is trying to lead the good guys to who the bad guys are, but they're trying to do it not so obvious, because you know, if they get caught at the end, even though they've won, well, they've lost. And so this player is trying to, you know, be the one to lead, to make the other people think they're the witness. And I love that aspect because it's such a great interaction between, if you're the witness, you're trying to figure out, okay, which one of these players do I think is that protective detail? And let me follow along them. So the protective detail is trying to go out, make strong assumptions on some things, and see if somebody else follows on with some breadcrumbs and trying to, oh yeah, I can see that. Trying to absolutely make people think that's it, but without being too strong about it. So I absolutely love this role. I loved it in Avalon, and I love it here. It just adds another layer of depth, another layer of awareness, and it just makes this game that much better. The Lab Technician. Well, before we get there, let's talk about this new allied phase. I think it's quite cool. It does twist the game a little bit, where it brings in two new roles that do their things at a specific time of the game. I think that's really smart. This one's really cool because so many times people are really set on maybe one or two things that have been continuously coming up. Well, now that player gets to see, you know, if that for sure is correct or not. And I think that's really cool. Although, once the phase ends, anybody can say anything, right? So somebody might be like, see, I was the lab technician, they said it wasn't it. You know, or somebody else might go, oh, these someone else still lying. I'm the lab technician, and that was it. And then you're already at odds with each other, and it just throws such a nice wrinkle in. Just another place for people to have some good information, yet you can't get people information if they don't believe you. So it's a lot of this. It adds another layer of depth, and I love that with this. Now the Inside Man's a cool one too, because right after the lab technician does their thing, they get to open their eyes and take someone's badge token away so they can't vote. And that's really cool too, because they could be trying to figure out who is who during that whole first round of play, trying to figure out who might be good, who might be bad, and trying to take the votes away from good players. But the biggest twist is when they take it from themselves. And, you know, that's like, well, yeah, clearly I'm good because whoever was the bad guy took it, because they're on the murderer's side. So if the murderers win, then the inside man wins. And so, hey, you can take it from yourself and be like, well, they took it from me. Clearly I'm good. Listen to me, what I'm saying. And you can start steering people away what you think it is. And I think that's a cool thing. So overall, the roles are my favorite part of this expansion. Now, they added a lot of means and clue cards. And as showed a good amount of them in the video, but also I showed you the synergy between the base game and this. And now there are a lot of cards in the base game. I never felt, just because of the way the game's played and the way that these cards intermingle and they're randomly given to players and the random scene tiles come out, even when seeing the same ones from the base game, I never felt the game to be samey, because again, it depends on the combination that's there, what else is on the table, and things like that. But I'm never going to complain by adding more of these, and I do like, it might seem easy to design things like this that synergize with the old scene tiles, the new scene tiles, the old ones, the new ones. And I showed you how a specific new scene tile had great synergy between some of the base game and the expansion. So people might just write that off as being something simple to do. I don't think it's that easy, but they did a great job here. And also I love how they did add more of those scene tiles, which again, are just going to give more replayability to the game and more interesting things. Anything I didn't like about it, anything I can say, well, I wish they did this better. Well, the new location of the crime tile, this is one that you can use to make it harder or easier for the bad team, because it's a little bit more vague, but they didn't put any type of marking on that so that you know it's the one from the expansion. I guess you can remember it, but it's like, if you're getting set up and there's a lot of noise going on and you haven't played it in a while, you might forget which one is which. You probably have to look at the rules. I wish they would have put like a little icon on there to remember, okay, this is the one we use. We don't select it. We just use it if we want it a little bit harder for the good guys. So I wish they would have put an icon there. The perfect crime tile, the one where the forensic scientists can look at it and then possibly be bad or good, I didn't like that one as much. It essentially could flip the game on its head, and then when that does come up, then the whole game's like, well, are they good? Are they bad? Any clues they give from now on, we don't know whether we can really believe them or not. And it kind of, I don't know, I didn't like it as much. The last thing, a little nitpick, is I could not fit everything in the box with the base insert because I already had so much stuff for the game. So I got a lot of promos and stuff. But so in order to fit it in the base box, I had to remove the insert, and now I've got plenty of room. So keep the expansions coming. I got plenty of room. I threw the insert out. Those are 3 sort of nitpick things, because perfect crime, you don't have to play with it. Location of crime, I could check the rule book. Remove the insert, well, that's not the end of the world. Those are sort of nitpicks, but I'm trying to give a fair and balanced review here. But overall, I loved it. This is an excellent expansion to one of my favorite games. If you like the game, you got to get this no-brainer, and that's Undercover Allies.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com.